What's up, guys? Who here has spent hours at the arcade trying to memorize the Hadouken commands? Or broken a controller at home pulling off those impossible combos? Today, I bring you a special list. Top 10 retro fighting games that are still unbeatable in 2025. That's right. While everyone is drooling over the ultra-realistic graphics of current games, I'm going to prove that the true masters of brawling were born way back when. These classics not only defined the genre, but continue to teach game design lessons that many modern developers still haven't learned. I'm Matthew, and we're starting the list with SoulCalibur, a game that arrived as a revolution in the world of three-dimensional fighting games, setting a new standard for weapon-based combat. Originally released in arcades in 1998, and later ported to the Dreamcast, the game represented the technical peak of Sega's console, showcasing graphics that seemed impossible for the time. The transition from the original Soul Edge to SoulCalibur brought refinements that completely transformed the gameplay experience. The 8-way run system created a unique strategic depth, where each character had not only distinct special moves, but completely different fighting styles based on their weapons. Mitsurugi with his katana, Ivy with her impossible sword whip, and Nightmare with his demonic sword created archetypes that would influence fighting games for decades. The guard impact system added a layer of timing and anticipation that separated casual players from veterans. Each character had deep motivations and connections to the legendary swords, something rare in fighting games of that era. Technically, SoulCalibur still impresses today with its fluid animations and iconic character design. The game ran at a constant 60 FPS on the Dreamcast, something many current games still struggle to maintain. The interactive stages with fatal falls and obstacles added an environmental dimension that few games have managed to replicate with the same elegance. In 2025, SoulCalibur remains unbeatable because it created formulas that the series itself has never been able to completely surpass. The perfect combination of accessibility for beginners and depth for hardcore competitors, along with a timeless visual presentation, keeps the game relevant even almost 3 decades later. It's the kind of experience that defines an era and establishes lasting legacies. Killer Instinct exploded into arcades in 1994, like a hurricane of stylized violence and technical innovation, proving that Rare could create much more than just platformers. Using pre-rendered graphics similar to those in Donkey Kong Country, the game presented visuals that looked like they were straight out of a science fiction movie, with detailed characters and special effects that made its competitors at the time look outdated. The combo system was the true revolution of Killer Instinct, creating devastating sequences that could last for dozens of hits when executed perfectly. The famous Ultra Combos and Ultimate Combos were not just demonstrations of skill, but audio-visual spectacles that turned every fight into a pyrotechnic show. The iconic announcer shouting Ultra Combo became one of the most memorable moments in fighting game history. Each character had a distinct visual and sound personality that made them instantly recognizable. Jago with his fire projectiles, Glacius with his mutable alien nature, and Fulgor as the relentless cyborg created a diverse cast that went far beyond traditional martial arts fighters. The sound design was particularly impressive, with each hit sounding like a cinematic explosion. Killer Instinct remains unbeatable in 2025 because it set standards of spectacle and intensity that few games have managed to match. The combination of technical innovation, exceptional sound design, and an addictive combat system created an experience that transcends generations. It's a game that doesn't age because its essence has always been about creating epic and unforgettable moments.
Combo ready.
Guilty Gear X2 represents the moment when Daisuke Ishiwatari finally managed to completely materialize his unique artistic vision, creating a fighting game that looks more like a moving work of art than a simple competitive game. Released in 2002, the game brought refinements to the combat system that transformed the series into one of the most technically complex and visually stunning fighting games ever created. The Roman cancel system revolutionized combo mechanics, allowing players to cancel almost any move by spending meter, creating infinite possibilities for creativity and personal expression. Along with faultless defense and the burst system, X2 offered defensive and offensive tools that perfectly balanced aggression and strategic patience. Each character functioned like a completely different game, with unique mechanics that required dedicated learning. The character roster of Guilty Gear X2 is simply unparalleled in originality and charisma. Soul Bad Guy is the reluctant protagonist with his gear power, Kai Kiski with his knightly elegance, Mei and her obsession with giant whales, and Potemkin as the gentle giant who fights with devastating grappling. Each character not only fights differently, but represents completely distinct philosophies and approaches to combat. Visually, X2 established an artistic style that would influence not only fighting games, but also anime and manga for years. The high-resolution 2D animation, combined with elaborate special effects and punk rock character design, created an instantly recognizable visual identity. The instant kill animations are small cinematic masterpieces that turn victories into epic moments. In 2025, Guilty Gear X2 is still revered by its dedicated community. The game continues to be played in tournaments and is seen as an example of fighting game design that balances complexity with fun. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes is the definition of controlled chaos. Released in 2000, this epic crossover brought together a gigantic roster of 56 characters from the Marvel and Capcom universes in frantic 3-on-3 team battles. The game abandoned the simplicity of its predecessors in favor of a system that allowed character assists at any moment, leading to long, unpredictable, and visually spectacular combos. The gameplay is fast, explosive, and accessible. The controls were simplified to 4 buttons, 2 for punches and 2 for kicks, with a system of aerial combos and specials that can be executed with relative ease. However, beneath this accessible surface, there is immense depth. True mastery of the game comes from the synergy between the 3 chosen characters: the strategic use of assists, and the ability to create attack sequences that can defeat an opponent before they touch the ground. Visually, the game is a unique mix of 2D sprites for the characters and 3D backgrounds. This combination gave the game a distinct look that, while it may seem dated to some, is instantly recognizable and full of charm. The soundtrack, with its smooth jazz and catchy vocal themes, is equally iconic, creating a memorable contrast with the frantic action unfolding on the screen. Even in 2025, the energy of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is contagious. No other game has managed to perfectly replicate its mix of chaos, creativity, and competitiveness. Although the balance between characters is notoriously uneven, with a handful of fighters dominating the competitive scene, the sheer fun of assembling your dream team and unleashing absurd combos is an experience that never gets old. Garou Mark of the Wolves, released in 1999, was the final chapter in the Fatal Fury series and is widely considered Senkei's masterpiece. The game represented a complete renewal for the franchise, introducing an almost entirely new cast of characters, a refined combat system, and a visual presentation that pushed the Neo Geo hardware to its absolute limit. The result is one of the most polished and technically impressive 2D fighting games ever created. The gameplay system of Mark of the Wolves is elegant and deep. The core mechanic is the Just Defend, which rewards players with a small amount of health recovery and the ability to counterattack instantly if they block an attack at the exact moment. Additionally, the TOP system, Tactical Offense Position, allows the player to choose a section of their life bar that, when reached, grants a damage boost, gradual health recovery, and access to a special move. These mechanics encourage precise and strategic play. The story takes place a decade after the death of the villain Geese Howard and follows Rock Howard, Geese's son and the protege of Terry Bogard, the series' protagonist. Terry is the only returning character from the original cast, serving as a mentor to the new generation of fighters competing in the King of Fighters Maximum Mayhem tournament. Mark of the Wolves remains unbeatable in 2025 because it managed to perfectly capture the competitive spirit and artistic soul of classic fighting games. It is a game that works both as a nostalgic experience and as a modern competition, offering enough depth to satisfy hardcore players while maintaining the accessibility that made Senk's games so beloved.
Round 1. Fight!
Samurai Shodown 2 represents the perfect evolution of a revolutionary concept in the world of fighting games. While most fighting games of the era focused on fast combos and sequential hits, this sunk title dared to create something completely different. A system based on precise timing, strategic patience, and devastating blows. The game managed to capture the real essence of sword combat, where a single wrong decision can determine the outcome of the entire fight. The gameplay system is a masterpiece of design that remains unique to this day. The rage gauge that builds up as you take damage not only adds a fascinating strategic layer, but also creates moments of cinematic tension. When a fighter enters a state of rage, their attacks become lethal, creating epic comebacks that keep both players on the edge of their seats until the very last second. This mechanism influenced generations of designers, but it has never been replicated with the same elegance. Visually, Samurai Shodown 2 set a new standard for fluid animations and detailed pixel art. Each character has a distinct personality through their animations, from Haomaru's proud stance to Nakororu's deadly elegance. The stages are true works of art that transport players to a feudal Japan full of atmosphere and authenticity. The death animations and special move effects created unforgettable visual moments that would define the franchise's visual identity. Its less is more philosophy contrasts sharply with the excessive complexity of many modern titles, proving that well-crafted mechanics outweigh the quantity of features. The game remains extremely fun for both veterans and newcomers, offering an accessible learning curve, but with a virtually infinite skill ceiling. Tekken 3 was literally the game that made me believe that a 3D fighting game could be as good as a 2D one. I was super skeptical. I came from Street Fighter and Fatal Fury, then this game arrives on the PlayStation and... damn, what a slap in the face! The first time I saw Jin doing those aerial combos, I thought, man, this is the future. And Eddie Gordo? Wow, what a character. I would spend hours just watching him move, that fluid capoeira that looked like a dance. Of course, all my friends said he was a noob character, but I didn't care. It was too much fun to just spin around and land surprise hits. To this day, I think Eddie is one of the most charismatic characters in gaming. What impressed me the most was how each character really felt different to play. Yoshimitsu with his ninja madness, King with his wrestling moves, Ling with all that agility. Man, it was like having several different games in one. And that Tekken Force mode? I beat it like 1,000 times. It was like a 3D final fight, so addictive. Technically speaking, the game was insane for the PlayStation. Constant 60 FPS, graphics that looked like they were from an arcade, fast loading times. Namco really knew what they were doing. And that soundtrack? Each stage had a song that got stuck in your head. I still remember the music from Jin's stage. Tekken 3 isn't just the best Tekken for me, it's one of the best fighting games of all time. It's one of those games that when you show it to someone today, they can't believe it's from 1997. It aged so well, and look, it's been almost 30 years.
You win.
Man, I'll be honest. Coffin 98 is probably one of the best fighting games ever made, but almost nobody talks about it. And that makes me kind of sad, you know? While everyone was playing Street Fighter, I was there discovering this gem that Sonk created. The 3-person team system is just brilliant. Just imagine, you're not just playing one round, you're planning a strategy for 3 characters. I remember spending hours putting together different teams, testing synergies. It was like building a soccer team. Each character had their role. My favorite team was Kyo, Iori, and Terry, pure power. And that advanced and extra mode system? Wow, so complex. You could completely change your playstyle depending on the mode you chose. In advanced, I was more aggressive, doing crazy combos. In extra, I played more defensively, building up power to unleash those devastating supers. It was like having 2 games in one. The roster of 38 characters was insane for the time. Each one with their own personality, their unique moves, their quirks. Athena with her pop idol poses, Rugal being the most intimidating boss in games, Blue Mary with that tough cop vibe. Man, it was impossible not to fall in love with at least 5 different characters. Nowadays, I get a little angry when I see people saying that Street Fighter is superior without even really knowing KOF. It's like comparing basketball with American football. Both are excellent, but they have completely different philosophies. KOF 98 deserves so much more recognition. It's an absolute masterpiece that's just there, waiting to be rediscovered. Mortal Kombat 2 took the innovative formula of its predecessor and expanded it in every imaginable direction. Released in 1993, the game deepened the lore, increased the roster, refined the gameplay, and most importantly, doubled down on the stylized violence that shocked the world. The result was a sequel that surpassed the original in every aspect, solidifying Mortal Kombat as a pillar of video game culture. The gameplay was faster and more responsive than the first game. New moves like crouching punches and roundhouse kicks were added, and combos became more fluid and easier to execute. The roster was expanded with characters who would become fan favorites like Kitana, Mileena, Kung Lao, and the villainous Emperor Shao Kahn. Each character had a more diverse set of special moves, making the fights more dynamic and strategic. What really defined Mortal Kombat 2 was the expansion of its finishers. In addition to the fatalities, which were more numerous and creative than before, the game introduced Babalities, transforming the opponent into a baby, and friendships, a comedic gesture of friendship. These additions, along with stage fatalities, using the environment to finish the opponent, showed that the developers at Midway had a dark sense of humor and were willing to play with the audience's expectations. The world of Mortal Kombat was also enormously expanded. Instead of a tournament on Earth, the story moved to the mystical realm of Outworld. This allowed for the creation of much more fantastic and disturbing stages, like the Dead Pool and the Wasteland. The dark and oppressive atmosphere of Outworld, combined with the digitized graphics of real actors, gave the game a unique and unforgettable visual identity that set it apart from its competitors based on drawn sprites.
Finish him. Kitana wins. Round 2, fight.
Street Fighter II is not just a game. It is the foundation upon which the entire modern fighting game genre was built. Released in arcades in 1991, its popularity was so overwhelming that it revitalized the arcade industry and kicked off a golden age for fighting games. It introduced concepts that are now standard, such as combos, special moves based on directional inputs, and a diverse roster of characters with unique fighting styles. The genius of Street Fighter II lies in its perfectly tuned gameplay. The 6-button system, 3 for punches and 3 for kicks of different strengths, offered an unprecedented range of attack options. Special moves like Ryu's Hadouken and Guile's Sonic Boom were powerful but required practice to be executed consistently. The discovery that it was possible to cancel the animation of a normal move into a special move, creating a combo, opened up a universe of strategic possibilities, and defined the metagame for decades. The conversion to the Super Nintendo in 1992 was a landmark event, proving that a high-quality arcade experience could be replicated at home. The game single-handedly boosted console sales and solidified the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega in the 16-bit era. Even in 2025, the core gameplay remains as pure and addictive as it was in 1991. It's a game that is easy to learn but incredibly difficult to master. Its influence is so profound that almost every fighting game that came after it owes something to it. Playing Street Fighter II is like witnessing the birth of a genre in its most perfect form. It is, without a doubt, the most important and unbeatable retro fighting game of all time. Do you agree or disagree with my top 10? Let me know in the comments. I'll leave it here for now until next time.